The story of the 1964 Lamborghini 350 GT begins with a legendary feud. Born after tractor magnate Ferruccio, Lamborghini was dismissed by Enzo Ferrari over a clutch complaint, prompting Ferruccio to build his own perfect Grand Tourer. Powered by a magnificent 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V12 engine developed by Giotto Bizzarini, it produced 280 horsepower and featured an all-aluminum body designed by Carrozzeria Touring alongside a fully independent suspension system. For a company's first attempt at an automobile, the specifications were groundbreaking, allowing a top speed of 158 miles per hour through a ZF 5-speed manual transmission. The strongest point of the 350 GT was its unmatched refinement. It was a smoother, better built, and significantly more comfortable high-speed cruiser than contemporary Ferraris, boasting excellent road manners and quiet cruising capabilities. However, its weak point was undeniably its polarizing, bug-eyed front-end styling, which many traditionalists found overly bizarre, combined with the reality that the fledgling automaker entirely lacked the established racing pedigree and brand prestige of its fierce Italian rivals. The 1966 Lamborghini Miura completely rewrote the rulebook of automotive engineering and is widely credited as the world's first true mid-engined supercar. Its story involves a secret, after-hours engineering project by Lamborghini's young technical team, who wanted to build a road car with racing car DNA against Ferruccio's initial wishes for strictly grand tours. Nestled transversely behind the driver was a 3.9-liter V12 engine churning out 350 horsepower in the early P400 models, pushing the car to an unprecedented top speed of 171 miles per hour. The absolute strong point of the Miura was Marcello Gandini's breathtaking, curvaceous bodywork, which remains one of the most beautiful automotive designs in human history, paired with a revolutionary layout that set the standard template for every supercar that followed. Its weak points, however, were notoriously dangerous. The front end suffered from severe aerodynamic lift at high speeds, causing terrifying instability, and the cabin was plagued by deafening noise, immense engine heat, and a tendency for the Weber carburetors to catch fire if not meticulously maintained. The 1968 Lamborghini Espada was Ferruccio Lamborghini's vision of the ultimate four-seat Grand Tourer, aiming to combine sports car performance with the ability to transport a family across continents in supreme style. Under its long, sweeping hood sat the familiar 3.9-liter V12 engine, now refined to deliver 325 horsepower, which was enough to propel this massive vehicle to a top speed of 155 miles per hour. The most prominent strong point of the Espada was its genuinely practical interior. Unlike most 2+2 coupes of the era, the Espada offered comfortable seating for 4 full-sized adults, complemented by a large glass tailgate that provided exceptional luggage space and a striking, futuristic silhouette. On the downside, the Espada's weak points stemmed from its immense size and complexity. It was incredibly heavy, making the unassisted steering a physical workout at low speeds, and the intricate electrical systems and 6 twin-choke carburetors made maintenance an absolute nightmare for mechanics. Introduced in the same year as the Espada, the 1968 Lamborghini Islero served as the direct replacement for the 400 GT, acting as the conservative, understated gentleman's express of the lineup. It utilized the trusted 3.9-liter V12, producing 325 horsepower, mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox, and rode on a slightly modified version of the 400 GT chassis, with wider track dimensions for improved handling. The Islero's primary strong point was its exquisite driving dynamics, an excellent all-around visibility, making it Ferruccio Lamborghini's personal favorite car to drive daily, offering a perfect balance of power, comfort, and nimble handling. Conversely, its weak point was its highly subdued and conventional styling, which lacked the dramatic flair and exotic presence expected of a Lamborghini, leading to poor sales figures as buyers gravitated toward the more flamboyant models in the showroom. The 1970 Lamborghini Jurama was created out of necessity, designed to replace the Islero, and specifically engineered to meet new, stricter United States safety and emissions regulations. It was built on a shortened version of the Espada's chassis and featured a slightly tuned 3.9-liter V12 pushing out 350 horsepower, draped in a sharp, geometric body designed by Marcello Gandini at Bertone. The strong points of the Jurama included its incredibly solid build quality and its prowess as an effortless high-speed highway cruiser, featuring a surprisingly plush interior and the optional availability of a Chrysler Torque Flight automatic transmission for the American market. Its weak points were deeply tied to its proportions. The shortened chassis combined with the heavy V12 made the car feel nose-heavy and somewhat clumsy in tight corners, and its blocky, heavy-handed styling failed to capture the imagination of the public in the same way the Miura had. The 1972 Lamborghini Urraco was the brand's ambitious attempt to build an entry-level, more affordable 2+2 sports car to directly challenge the dominance of the Porsche 911 and the Ferrari Dino. To achieve this, Lamborghini developed a brand new, compact 2.0-liter to 3.0-liter transverse V8 engine, delivering between 220 and 250 horsepower depending on the market and specification. The Urraco's strong points were its brilliant packaging and agile handling. Placing the V8 transversely allowed for a surprising amount of interior room within a small footprint, and the McPherson strut suspension on all four corners provided exceptional cornering grip and balance. However, its weak points were financially catastrophic. The car was plagued by severe build quality and reliability issues. The driving ergonomics were notoriously awful, with a steering wheel angled toward the center of the car, and its launch unfortunately coincided with the global oil crisis, crippling its sales potential. The 1974 Lamborghini Countach is the defining supercar of the 20th century, a vehicle whose story is rooted in shocking the world and completely redefining automotive architecture with its aggressive, wedge-shaped profile. Power came from a longitudinally mounted V12, ranging from 4.0 liters to 5.2 liters over its lifespan, producing anywhere from 375 to 455 horsepower, sending power to the rear wheels through a gearbox cleverly placed in the middle of the cabin for better weight distribution. The Countach's unparalleled strong points were its raw theatrical presence, the introduction of the iconic scissor doors, and a top speed that genuinely pushed the 180 miles per hour barrier, securing its place on the bedroom posters worldwide. Its weak points were legendary in their severity. Rearward visibility was non-existent, requiring drivers to sit on the doorsill to reverse. The cabin was brutally cramped and poorly ventilated, and the heavy clutch and unassisted steering made it exhausting to drive at anything below highway speeds. The 1976 Lamborghini Silhouette was born from a desperate need to generate revenue during Lamborghini's turbulent financial struggles in the late 1970s, acting as an evolution of the troubled Urraco. It took the Urraco's 3.0-liter V8 engine, producing 260 horsepower, and wrapped it in a restyled, more aggressive body that featured Lamborghini's very first removable Targa roof panel. The strong points of the Silhouette were its vastly improved aesthetics. Over the Urraco, the thrilling experience of open-top V8 motoring, and the introduction of the striking telephone dial wheels that would become a company signature. However, its weak points were deeply ingrained in its rushed development. It inherited all the terrible ergonomic flaws of the Urraco, suffered from the same electrical gremlins, and was produced in such limited numbers only 54 units ever made, that it failed to save the company from entering bankruptcy. The 1981 Lamborghini Jalpa was introduced under the new ownership of the Miura brothers, designed to be a more refined, reliable, and accessible V8 sports car to sit beneath the almighty Countach. It featured an enlarged 3.5-liter V8 engine delivering 255 horsepower, slightly restyled bodywork, with prominent black plastic bumpers to meet US regulations, and an updated, more user-friendly interior. The Jalpa's strong points were its superior drivability and tractability compared to the Countach. It offered much better visibility, a lighter clutch, and a torque curve that made it a genuinely pleasant car to drive in urban traffic. Its weak points were its performance and aging underpinnings. It was noticeably slower than its main rival, the Ferrari 308, and the underlying 1970s chassis architecture meant it felt dated and dynamically outclassed by the time it ceased production in the late 1980s. The story of the 1986 Lamborghini LM002, affectionately known as the Rambo Lambo, started as a failed military contract vehicle named the Cheetah, which Lamborghini audaciously pivoted into a luxury off-roader for wealthy elites. Under the massive hood sat the exact same 5.2-liter V12 engine from the Countach, producing 444 horsepower, bolted to a heavy-duty four-wheel drive system and a massive 76-gallon fuel tank. The LM002's strong points were its absolute indestructibility off-road, its imposing military-grade road presence, and the sheer absurdity of hearing a screaming supercar V12 coming from a 3-ton luxury truck. The weak points were equally extreme. The fuel economy was an abysmal 8 miles per gallon. The aerodynamics were akin to a brick, and the massive, custom-made Pirelli Scorpion tires were astronomically expensive and incredibly difficult to source once they wore out. The 1990 Lamborghini Diablo was tasked with the impossible job of replacing the Countach, developed heavily under the watchful eye and financial backing of Chrysler, who had acquired the Italian brand. It utilized a massive 5.7-liter, later 6.0-liter V12 engine that produced between 485 and 595 horsepower, breaking the mythical 200 miles per hour barrier to become the fastest production car in the world. At its launch, the Diablo's strong points were its savage, unrelenting straight-line acceleration, its smoothed-out, highly aerodynamic carbon fiber and aluminum bodywork, and the eventual introduction of all-wheel drive in the VT models, which made the immense power actually usable. Its weak points included early models lacking power steering and ABS, making them terrifyingly unforgiving at the limit, while the heavy clutch and incredibly wide rear track made navigating narrow city streets a nerve-wracking ordeal. The 2001 Lamborghini Murcielago marked the beginning of a new era as the first entirely new model developed under the ownership of Audi, blending German engineering discipline with Italian soul. It retained the legendary Bizarrini-derived V12 architecture, expanded to 6.2 and eventually 6.5 liters, producing between 572 and 661 horsepower, sending power to all four wheels through a standard all-wheel drive system. The Murcielago's strong points were a massive leap in the build quality and interior ergonomics, the dramatic active cooling vents that deployed at speed, and an exhaust note that is still considered one of the greatest in automotive history. Its weak points were its intimidating dimensions. It was exceptionally wide and difficult to park. The early E-Gear automated manual transmissions were brutally jerky at low speeds, and the sheer cost of maintenance for its complex, all-wheel drive V12 drivetrain was staggering. The 2003 Lamborghini Gallardo was introduced as the Baby Lambo, designed to be a daily drivable supercar that could finally bring the brand into high-volume production. It was powered by an all-new 5.0-liter, later 5.2-liter, V10 engine producing between 493 and 562 horsepower, sharing a significant amount of its platform, electronics, and all-wheel drive technology with the Audi R8. The strongest point of the Gallardo was its ultimate usability. It was reliable, featured excellent outward visibility, had air conditioning that actually worked, and possessed a glorious V10 howl that rivaled the V12S, making it the best-selling Lamborghini ever at the time. Its weak points were the heavily criticized single-clutch E-gear transmission, which destroyed clutches in stop-and-go traffic, and a tendency for the early all-wheel drive models to suffer from heavy understeer when pushed hard on a track. The 2007 Lamborghini Rewrote was a highly exclusive, ultra-limited production car, whose story revolves around pushing the boundaries of automotive design by drawing direct inspiration from the F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jet. Mechanically, it was virtually identical to the Murcielago LP640, utilizing the same 6.5-liter V12 tweaked slightly to produce 641 horsepower, complete with the same all-wheel drive system and E-gear transmission. The Rewrote's strong points were strictly visual and emotional. It introduced the sharp, angular, stealth fighter design language that would define Lamborghini for the next 2 decades, and its extreme rarity, only 20 coupes were made, guaranteed its status as an instant collector's item. Its glaring weak point was its value proposition. Underneath the bespoke carbon fiber bodywork and digital fighter jet instrument cluster, it was just a Murcielago, yet it cost over $1 million more than the car it was based upon. The 2011 Lamborghini Aventador was a monumental leap forward, replacing the Murcielago with a completely bespoke carbon fiber monocoque chassis and an entirely new clean sheet V12 engine design for the first time since 1964. This new 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12 produced between 690 and 770 horsepower, revving with ferocious speed and paired with an inboard pushrod suspension system derived directly from Formula One. The Aventador's strong points were its absolute theatricality, its spine-tingling, high-revving engine, and its aggressive, wide-body stance that made it the undisputed king of road presence for over a decade. Its weak point was primarily the 7-speed independent shifting rod, EISR, single-clutch gearbox. While brutally fun and engaging on a racetrack, it was agonizingly clunky and unsmooth in everyday city driving, making the car feel unrefined at slow speeds. The 2011 Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, named after the 6th element of the periodic table, carbon, was a pure engineering exercise dedicated entirely to the philosophy of extreme weight reduction. It utilized the 5.2-liter V10 engine and all-wheel drive system from the Gallardo Superleggera, producing 570 horsepower, but wrapped it in a chassis and body made entirely of advanced forged carbon fiber, resulting in a curb weight of just 999 kilograms, 2,202 pounds. The strong points of the Sesto Elemento were its mind-bending physics. With a power-to-weight ratio akin to a superbike, it could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds, offering the most visceral, unfiltered acceleration of any Lamborghini ever built. The weak points were its extreme limitations. It lacked basic interior comforts. The seats were merely pads glued directly to the carbon tub, and it was strictly confined to track use, meaning owners could never legally drive it on public roads. The 2013 Lamborghini Veneno was created to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary, built with the intention of bringing the aerodynamic efficiency of a Le Mans racing prototype to a road-legal vehicle. Based on the Aventador chassis, its 6.5-liter V12 was pushed to 740 horsepower, but the true story was its bodywork, which was entirely optimized for extreme downforce and engine cooling. The Veneno's strong points were its race car level cornering grip, its unmatched exclusivity with only a handful ever produced, and its ability to draw bigger crowds than almost any other hypercar on the planet. Its weak point was the highly polarizing design. Many critics felt the styling was far too busy, chaotic, and over the top, looking more like a Hot Wheels toy than a cohesive piece of automotive art, combined with an eye-watering price tag of nearly $4 million. The 2014 Lamborghini Huracan arrived as the successor to the beloved Gallardo, tasked with bringing Lamborghini's V10 platform into the modern era of digitized high-tech supercars. It retained the 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10, now producing between 602 and 631 horsepower, but critically replaced the clunky old automated manual with a lightning-fast, highly refined 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The strong points of the Huracan were its incredible ease of use. The dual-clutch gearbox made it a breeze to drive in traffic. The interior felt like a premium fighter jet, and it remained remarkably reliable, easily doubling as a daily driver. Its weak points, particularly in the early LP610-4 models, were a chassis setup that heavily favored safe, predictable understeer, and some purists argued that the car had become too refined, losing the raw, dangerous edge that defined classic Lamborghinis. The 2016 Lamborghini Centenario was a limited production masterpiece built specifically to commemorate what would have been the 100th birthday of the company's founder, Ferruccio Lamborghini. Using the Aventador's carbon fiber architecture, the 6.5-liter V12 was tuned to a massive 759 horsepower, and it introduced Lamborghini's very first rear-wheel steering system to improve both high-speed stability and low-speed agility. The Centenario's strong points were its technological advancements, seamlessly integrating rear-wheel steering to make the massive car feel incredibly nimble, alongside a stunning, exposed carbon fiber body that showcased Lamborghini's mastery of composites. The weak points were its incredibly stiff, track-focused suspension that made for a punishing ride on normal roads, and its extreme exclusivity meant it was destined to be locked away in climate-controlled garages as an investment piece rather than being enjoyed on the open road. The story of the 2018 Lamborghini Urus is one of corporate survival and massive expansion. It was the brand's second attempt at an SUV designed to be the ultimate daily driver that would secure the financial future of the company. It completely abandoned naturally aspirated engines in favor of a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8, producing between 641 and 657 horsepower, sharing its underlying platform with the Audi RSQ8 and Porsche Cayenne. The strong points of the Urus were undeniable. It offered genuine supercar acceleration in a vehicle that could comfortably seat a family of 5, swallow a week's worth of luggage, and tackle snowy mountain passes with ease. The weak points were ideological. Purists heavily criticized the Urus for lacking a bespoke Lamborghini engine, arguing that the twin-turbo V8 lacked the sonic drama and high-revving soul of the V10s and V12s that defined the brand's heritage. The 2020 Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 was a crucial stepping stone for the brand, serving as Lamborghini's very first foray into hybrid technology, and named in honor of the late Ferdinand Karl Piëch. It mated the Aventador's 6.5-liter Va12 to a 34-horsepower electric motor integrated into the gearbox, utilizing a pioneering supercapacitor system instead of a traditional lithium-ion battery, bringing total output to 808 horsepower. The strong points of the Sian were its innovative use of the supercapacitor, which could charge and discharge rapidly, perfectly filling the torque gaps during the single clutch gear shifts to provide smooth, unrelenting acceleration. The weak points were that the hybrid system was incredibly mild, unable to drive the car on electric power alone, making the Scion feel more like a proof of concept for the supercapacitor technology rather than a true next-generation hybrid hypercar. The 2021 Lamborghini Countach LPY 804 was a surprise release designed to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the original Countach prototype, blending retro aesthetics with modern hypercar performance. Under the carbon fiber skin, it was mechanically identical to the Scion, utilizing the exact same 6.5-liter V12 in supercapacitor hybrid system to generate 803 horsepower. The strong points of the modern Countach were its spectacular neo-retro styling that masterfully captured the wedge profile and NACA ducts of the original without looking overly cartoonish, alongside the phenomenal sound and power of the hybrid V12. Its weak points drew heavy criticism from automotive journalists and the designer of the original Countach, Marcello Gandini, who felt the car was a cynical cash grab that merely reskinned an existing chassis to capitalize on a legendary nameplate. The 2023 Lamborghini Revuelto opened a brand new chapter as the long-awaited successor to the Aventador, dubbed the first high-performance electrified vehicle, HPEV, by the brand. It features a newly developed 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12, but it is now augmented by 3 electric motors and a lithium-ion battery pack, resulting in a staggering combined output of 1,001 horsepower sent through a new 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. The Revuelto's strong points are its mind-boggling performance figures, the complex torque vectoring all-wheel drive system that provides physics-defying cornering agility, and the triumphant retention of the emotional, naturally aspirated V12 engine. Its weak points are the inevitable increase in curb weight due to the heavy battery pack and electric motors, making it heavier than the Aventador, and a highly complex electronic architecture that removes some of the mechanical rawness of older generations. The 2024 Lamborghini Urus SE represents the next evolution of the best-selling super SUV, adapting to tightening global emissions regulations by adopting a plug-in hybrid powertrain. It pairs a revised version of the 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 with a powerful electric motor and a 25.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, boosting total output to a massive 789 horsepower, while allowing for electric-only driving. The strong points of the Urus SE are its dual personality. It can cruise silently through zero-emission city zones in pure EV mode, yet it accelerates faster and hits higher top speeds than the previous Urus Performante when all systems are engaged. The weak points are the significant weight penalty introduced by the battery system, which dulls the braking and cornering dynamics slightly, and the exhaust note is noticeably more muted and less aggressive than the pure combustion models. The 2026 Lamborghini Temerario is the monumental replacement for the Huracan, boldly closing the book on the iconic V10 engine in favor of an entirely new, bespoke plug-in hybrid powertrain. It features a 4.0-liter twin turbocharged flat plane crank V8 engine supplemented by 3 electric motors, delivering an astonishing 907 horsepower and revving to a stratospheric 10,000 revolutions per minute. The strong points of the Temerario are its unbelievable performance metrics, a vastly improved and far more spacious cabin that comfortably accommodates taller drivers, and an engine that manages to feel incredibly exotic despite being turbocharged. Its weak point is the undeniable emotional loss of the naturally aspirated V10 soundtrack that defined the entry-level Lamborghini for 2 decades, combined with the added mass of the hybrid system that pushes the curb weight significantly higher than its predecessor.